Welcome to a solitaire wargame playthrough video from theplayersaid.com. My name is Grant. Today I'm doing a playthrough and I haven't decided if I'm going to do all 9 of the turns. My purpose in doing these really is to show you how the game works and to give you a flavor and feel for how it plays, not necessarily show you how to win or strategy, etc. I'm not great at any of these games, to be honest. I have won this one a couple of times, so I know kind of what I'm doing. But this game is Manila, the Savage Streets, 1945. The game is from Revolution Games, Take Aim Designs. There you can see that right there, Revolution and Take Aim. The game is Volume 2 in the Solitaire Area Movement series, designed by Mike Ranella. Last year, the first volume came out. Stalingrad advanced to the Volga, obviously on the Battle of Stalingrad on the East Front. This game deals with the retaking of Manila in 1945 at the end of World War II. So a very different setting. Similar mechanics, similar setup, same area impulse based board. You're still tracking morale. You're tracking the controlled areas that you have. That's your ultimate goal. To win the game, you need one of two things. To get an operational victory, you have to control, I think it's 35 total areas out of the, what are there, 37? Yeah, something like that. Yes, 30 out of 37. And then you have to control this Intramuros spot there on the coast, the Manila Bay. That's considered an operational victory. And then a automatic victory is at any time during the game in the 9 turns, if you control all 37 areas, you are declared the winner. I'm not sure that's really that possible. I guess it could be if your rolls are just amazing. But the way the game is set up and the way it works is you're going to push your luck and continue attacking until ultimately you cannot overrun someone and you're going to kind of be bogged down and tired or spent. So you're trying to do that as best you can, all while juggling your morale. If your morale ever gets to 0, you automatically lose the moment it gets to 0. You're also trying to manage your supply to buy things like refitted, reinforced units, as well as support markers, both artillery and engineer support. Some of the optional rules, you can buy aircraft. I'm not playing with the optional rules at this point. But this is a fun, kind of light solitaire game. It's solitaire only, and you're always going to play the role of the attacking Americans. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get going. We'll explain certain parts of the game as we go through. You'll get an idea for how it plays. Depending on how it's going, I may continue or not. But I definitely want to show you at least 3, maybe 4, or possibly 5 turns. We'll just see how far we get. The game comes with, you can see up in my counter tray here, the game comes with 7 dice, 4 green, 3 red. They are the small-sized 6-siders. I have put those away and I've replaced those with my own customized American dice. Here you can see, and then the Japanese battle flag. So I've replaced those dice. Typically, the Japanese and the Americans are only rolling 2 dice in combat. Some of the Japanese defensive strategies will allow them to roll a 3rd and eliminate the lowest of the 3 die. And then you have 4 American dice, basically because every round you're going to roll for supply 46 and then track that, and then you're going to spend that. So that's why you need at least 7 dice. Or I guess you could play with less. You're just going to need to be rolling and re-rolling. Over here on the left side of the board, this is called the Attack Defense Value Track. This is an upgrade over the previous volume. They did not have that. If you remember watching my video from that, I used a 20-sided die for each side to track up their total attack and defense values. So here you've got nice little markers. You're able to track those and compare them quickly. That's a big, big improvement. The game also has some events, some random events. You're going to roll a random event basically at the end of every turn, and you've got random event chits that you're going to place out on the board that do certain things. In those random event chits, the one upgrade to the system is there are counterattacks by the Japanese. It's very rare, but they do have counterattacks. In the Stalingrad one, they had no counterattacks, so it literally was a one-sided push all the way through battle. This one, at least the Japanese have an opportunity to retaliate and counterattack you. You'll notice along the top of the board, I have these control markers laid out. When you take an area and destroy the Japanese defenders, you're supposed to deploy one of these onto the board and then tally those up to get your total. Based on the amount that I have out on the board now, we control 3 areas. So I have shown control as 3. But basically, to win the game, I've got to get all of these markers off the table and onto the board in these spaces. I've done that a couple of times, but not sure that that's going to happen now. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, the game does have a very handy-dandy play aid. It shows all of the Japanese defense strategies. It shows the cost for your units that you are buying, the movement cost, which is a big part of the game, and we'll go through that when I do that. It gives the unit information for both the Japanese and the American units. On the back side, it has a sequence of play right here and your reinforcement schedule, which is also printed on the board. I've got the game set up. The American units are distributed here based on their formations, and they will move independently, these different stacks, into different areas and attack. You have the makeup of the combat phase, the resolution, defense, and attack values, how you calculate those, and here is that random event chart. So very good play aid. The reality is once you play the game once or twice, you can play with just the play aid, and that's very, very good. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. This is turn 1, which represents, let me pull this up, February 6th through the 8th of 1945. We're going to do the dawn phase, and actually nothing happens during the dawn phase, the first part of the game. We're not getting reinforcements. Everybody's out. There are no permanent withdrawals that are written on. Those don't happen until later in the game. And then leader mortality. If your leader was wounded in a battle, then you roll to see if he was killed or died later. You then do the random event phase after the dawn phase. So we're going to go ahead and skip phase 1, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the random event phase. All right, so we're going to roll 3d6. I'm going to roll the Japanese dice. So 12. We refer here, we have civilians and refugees. The attack value of any mandatory attack is reduced by 1 this turn. This event sucks because that affects almost every single attack. Basically, a mandatory attack is when you are in a location within a Japanese unit. So we're going to put that out on the board over here by the combat table to remind myself that that's going to give me a -1. Japanese could care less about the Filipino civilians. We have to take that into account, and therefore it does affect our battle prowess. All right, now we're going to go to the supply phase. Let's move those Japanese dice out of the way. We've got 4d6. We're going to roll those here. Not a great roll, but decent. 14, so that's a total of 17. So you've got these, so we're going to put that on the 10 and that on the 7. You have a 10 and a 1. Now you go ahead and you purchase the items that you want to assist you in battle. So once again, here's this list of costs right here. An artillery is 1 point, an engineer costs 2, An artillery adds +1 to a combat. An engineer adds +2. I'm sorry, +1 for artillery, +2 for engineer. You only have 3 engineers. It's very important to buy almost all of those every time. It just depends on what you're trying to do. We have no out of action units, so we're not buying any of those back or rebuilding them. You can also spend 3 points to increase the American morale by 1. Why that is important is you always lose when it hits 0, but as long as it's in this orange section, which represents a morale value of 19 at the start, all the way down to a 10, you're going to get a +1 to all of your combat rolls. Once it gets into the light blue section, you're going to be at a -1. So keeping it above that is sometimes extremely worth it. You're going to lose morale based on losing battles. Also, though, at the end of every turn, you are going to reduce that by 1 no matter what. There are events also that can cause you a reduction, like the counterattacks and breakouts. So trying to keep that in this orange section is very vitally important. So we've got 17 to spend. I'm going to go ahead and buy all 3 engineer units. The important thing to remember is when you buy them, if you do not use them in a given round, they do carry over to the next round. So that's going to be 2, 4, 6. So we are down to 11. Then I want to go ahead and buy 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to leave 3 supply. So we'll take that down to 0 and leave 3 supply because I want to hold off. And I think sometimes when I look down and I see all of these support units, it makes me braver than I really should be. And I'm going to take a little more measured approach here and try to really show you how to do well. You can use a number of support markers equal to the number of units you have in a combat. So you typically have 3 to 5 units. You could use 3 to 5 support markers. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we are going to do is you activate an area. So I'm going to pick this area, which has 3 stacks of American units. They then have a certain amount of movement points based on their values on the far right of their counters. Let me show you. This has a 6. It's a 6 combat factor and a 6 movement factor. And movement costs are listed here right on this player aid. To enter a vacant area not adjacent to a Japanese unit is 1. Well, we have nothing like that at this point. Japanese units are in all of those. Enter a vacant area adjacent to any Japanese unit costs 2. Enter an area containing a revealed Japanese unit will cost 3. You don't reveal those until you move in and get set up. And then 4 movement factors to enter an area containing an unrevealed Japanese unit. So this first turn, we're going to be doing that a lot. So we're not going to be able to do a lot of moves this first turn, but the important thing to remember is you do an area activation. Those units are going to attack. As long as they win and overrun their opponent, they will stay active. So they can be activated again, getting their full movement and continue to move. That's an important part of the game. So let's go ahead and move these units. We're going to move this stack into Kokomo Island, which has a 3 defense because it's an urban area. And then this unit is going to have a certain printed strength value that we will learn here in a moment once it's revealed. So we're going to go ahead and move this unit there to attack that. So the problem is I cannot move through there and adjacent to attack this. So these guys are going to kind of have to somewhat hang out for a moment. I'm gonna then activate these guys. So you do your moves and then you do your attacks, and then you come back and reactivate everything. So the combat phase is made up of individual action rounds. During each action round, the American player activate areas on the map, can training fresh units and or attack. After being, okay, so we already read that. I already explained that to you. All right. So that's basically what we're doing with those guys. Once again, going to kind of leave. I could move him here, and that's actually what I would do. I'm sorry. It's been a couple of weeks since I played this game. Well, now I've destroyed my units. I'll clean those up once we get over. So, an area adjacent to an unrevealed Japanese unit. A vacant area adjacent to any Japanese unit cost me 2 movement factors. So to go from this area to this area, which is controlled by me but adjacent to Japanese units, cost me 2. And then I have 4 movement, so I can actually move into San Francisco Del Monte estate. So I can move into this area with those guys. So then I'm going to activate these. I'm going to move him down straight into Santa Mesa and move him across the board into Balara. So that's my first movement. I also have these American, all these units are American. I have these paratroopers. They are not as powerful necessarily, but if you'll notice this area, and you have to pay attention to this area is specifically connected to this less tough and defended area. So I can actually, for 4 movement points, move into this, and I'm going to attack here William McKinley Reservation. And once again, it's connected here on the bottom. You got to pay attention to that. That was something I missed, I think, my first game or so. So now that we've activated everybody and moved, we're going to go back to the combat phase. I'm going to start up here in Kokomo Island. And here's the way you calculate your combat factor. You pick 1 lead unit. So I'm going to pick this tank, which has a combat value of 6. Then I get a +1 for each supporting unit. I have 3 infantry units, so that's going to make that 6 + 3 is 9. Then a leader also gives +1 as long as they have 1 alive fresh unit in the stack that is under their command. So this is the 129th. We have a fresh 129th, so that's going to gain a +1 as well. 6 + 4 support units is a 10. So that means his combat value is a 10, although remember, we're going to have a -1 combat value for the civilians and refugees. We're also going to add some things for additional factors. High morale is going to give us a +1. So a 10 total, -1 for civilians, 9, +1 for morale is a 10. Then, as long as I use an artillery or an engineer unit into this and I have a tank or an artillery, or a tank or an infantry, I'm going to gain a +1 for combined arms. You have to have a tank and an infantry plus one of those 2, artillery or engineer. So I am definitely, and you don't have to make this decision until you reveal the unit. So let's go back. 10 - 1 is 9, +1 for this. I'm at a 10. I'm going to put my attack value at a 10. We're going to flip the Japanese marker over, and they have a barrage, which sucks. I'll tell you what a barrage does. They're a 7 value +3, so they are going to be a 10. And once again, they don't have to worry about the civilian penalty. So barrage, it says the American player must either place 1 attacking infantry or armor in the out-of-action box prior to combat resolution, or flip all of those units to spent. So I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice 1 of my infantry, which is going to reduce me by 1, so I'm back to a 9. And then I'm going to continue this attack. So I'm a 9. The Japanese is a 10. I definitely want to get off to a good start. I'm going to use an engineer support. So I'm going to throw that into the combat at +2. I'm also going to throw in a +1 artillery. So 2 for the engineer, 1 for the artillery, and then 1 for the combined arms bonus because I have a tank and an infantry. So I'm a 9 + 4. I will be a 13 to his 10. So I'm outclassing him right now, but it all comes down to a die roll. So let's go ahead, and each side gets 2d6. We roll those simultaneously. And, okay, well, I'm going to win the combat. So I rolled a 9, and he rolled a 9. So then you adjust your values. He goes up to a 19, and I'm a 23 plus 9. I go up to a 22. So that is considered winning the battle. So I have killed the Japanese defender. I remove him to the box, to the urban well. I now control that area, so I'm going to deploy a control marker. But because I didn't overcome the Japanese unit's strength by its printed value of 7, I only overcame him by 1, 2, 3. This is just considered a victory, and I am now going to become spent. So I have to flip these guys over. I won the battle, but I didn't overrun them, so I am spent, which means he cannot activate again this turn. So I take these units that I use, the engineer and the artillery, and put them in the use support unit box, and they will be able to be purchased next round. So then we go on to the next combat. Similar circumstance here. I've got a 6 plus 3 units is a 9, plus an HQ is a 10. But remember, I'm minus 1 because of this civilians. So I'm going to be a 9 at this point. We flip over the Japanese unit, and he's going to have an ambush with a value of 7 plus his defensive terrain of 3. He's a 10. So we are a 10 to a 9. Let me show you what ambush does. And there are 5 different types of these defender strategies. Place the lead attacking unit in the out of action box after combat resolution. Ignore if the combat result was a repulse. So if I get defeated, and let me show you what a repulse is. All right. If the attacking value is less than a defensive value, the American attack has been repulsed, and there is no effect on the unit. The lead attacking unit is removed from the area and is placed in the out of action box. All of the remaining attacking units are flipped to their spent side. So I've got to overrun him, or I'm going to have to flip over and lose a unit. So let's go ahead and decide what I'm going to do. So once again, it's a 10 to a 9. Very hard to win that combat with that -1. But I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Put an engineer and an artillery for 3, plus 1 for combined arms. I'm a 13 to his 10. So we grab our dice. Got to make sure I don't... Gosh, we rolled the same value again. We each rolled a 5. Wow, the dice are not being kind to me. So I'm an 18, and he will be a 15. So I'm going to win that combat, but my lead attack unit is going to go into the out-of-action box because of the ambush. And I'm going to put that guy into that. I'm going to move this over here so I don't have to reach across the screen. I'm going to control that area, but all of my guys are going to be spent. This is not a great start for the Americans. And it illustrates exactly why I wanted to hold over a couple of extra supply points and not just buy these extra support units, because now I'm going to have to buy these guys and rebuild them. And I needed a few extra dollars just in case I don't roll that well. You're supposed to adjust your control markers as you go. It's a little bit of a pain in the rear. That's why I just worry about those, but I did go ahead and adjust by 2 because I now control those 2 areas. Staying with this same formation, let's go over here to this clear area. I'm going to show you, I've got a 7 plus a supporting tank plus 1, and then 2 supporting infantry. So that's a 10, plus the leader is an 11, minus a 1 for the civilians and refugees. I'm at a 10. This Japanese unit, when we flip him over, he's a fanatic who only has a value of 4 plus 2, so he's going to be a 6. So that's good. Let's go ahead and put those guys there. So let's show you what a fanatic does. If the combat result is a success, it is changed to a stalemate. A stalemate means nothing happens, the battle is over, and you become spent. You don't lose morale. I can ignore the result, though, if the combat was a repulse, stalemate, or overrun. So I want to get an overrun so I can get rid of this guy, keep him active, and then ultimately move in and clean out another area. And we're actually fortunate because his value is only a 4 plus a 2. He's a 6. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a +1 artillery support, which is going to give me +2, right? +1 for combined arms, +1 for that. So I'm starting at a 12 and he's starting at a 6. All I have to do is overcome him by at least 4. Let's go ahead and roll the dice. All right, so they rolled an 11. 11 and 6 is a 17. I rolled a 9. A 9 and a 12 is a 21. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. I overcame him because his number was very low. I overran him because I'm over his value. I eclipsed his value. You know what? Now I'm second guessing that. I feel like you have to. I feel like an overrun is over the printed value. Let me double check because I don't want to lead you astray. If the attack is a success and the difference between the AT and DT is greater, nope, it has to be greater than, not equal to. So I defeat him. My goodness. So yeah, it's a success, but it's going to be changed to a stalemate. So he's going to stick around because that's what a fanatic does. Turns a success into a stalemate. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure that I've ever seen this poor of a start in this game. And I'm not sure that that's going to bode well for me at all. As a stalemate, I now get to, once again, I have to exhaust. I don't lose anything. All of the attacking units are flipped to their spent side. So they're going to be done this turn. That's not great. Let's go ahead and move here to this area. Let's calculate my, and you can see this civilians thing really hurts. So here we've got a 6 attacking with 3 infantry support. That's a 9, +1 for the HQ. That's a 10, but -1, remember, for the civilians and refugees. So I'm at a 9. Let's flip him over. He's a barrage 9 plus a 3. He's going to be a 12. This is going to be very bad. So I must place either one attacking infantry or army unit in the out of action box prior to resolution, or flip everybody to spent. Against my better judgment, I'm going to go ahead and put an infantry and try to continue. So that's going to drop me to an 8. The dice are going to change in my favor, I promise you. I'm going to use an engineer support at +2. Oh, you know what? I'm not giving myself my morale bonus, am I? 6. So I would be an 8 there. I'm sorry, guys. So 6, 7, 8, that would be a 9. +1 for morale is a 10. -1 would be a 9. So I was giving it to myself. I don't think I was messing myself up. So I'm going to add 2 to that for the engineer support, and then I am going to throw an artillery in there. I'm going to throw 2 artillery in there for another +2 and +1 for combined arms. So my strength is a 14. So against my better judgment, I'm just going to roll. My gosh. All right, I rolled a 7, so I'm going to get a 21, and he rolled a 6, so he's going to be an 18. So, as the barrage, I've already taken the loss, so I am going to win. These all go into the spent box. And then, because I did not overrun him, I do beat him. I'm going to put a control marker out, increase my number by 1. I'm going to put that control there. I'm going to increase this to 6. And then this barrage gets removed, but the damage is already done. There wasn't much I could do to stop that from hurting me. So I only have 3 support units left. And I have this combat and this one that I definitely want to do. Let's go ahead and add up. And this guy's not as good. The tanks just aren't as good. And it's got a recce vehicle, which gives it a +1. But a 5 plus 4 is a 9. 10 for morale, -1 is a 9. So I'm going to be a 9. Remember, civilians and refugees. This guy is a barrage 6, +2 for his terrain is an 8. But once again, the barrage, I'm going to have to throw somebody into the wolves. So I'm going to throw that guy. So I'm going to lose 1. So we're tied. Unfreaking believable. Well, at this point, I don't want to use my stuff. I'm literally just going to roll. I'm going to take my chances, and I'm going to go ahead and roll. Okay, hey, I won. That was good. That ended up working out. So they rolled a 2 while I rolled a 9. So they rolled a 2, they go up to 10, and I go up to 17. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I do eclipse his printed value, so I defeat him and overrun him. I'm going to put out a control marker. These guys do not flip to spent. That's the important part. So they are eligible to go again. They can be activated this same impulse and attack again. So we'll see if I do that. Let's go down to the American airborne troops. They're all American. So this guy's worth 4. He's got 2 support units, 5, 6, plus a leader, 7. -1 for civilians and refugees. I'm sorry. +1 for morale, 8. Once again, 4, 5, 6, 7. +1 for morale, 8. -1, I'm going to be a 7. So let's flip this guy over. It's a barrage. His value is a 6. Man, I've drawn so many barrages. Well, I have to put one of these units out to continue the attack, so I'm going to lose 1 strength. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just I'm gonna be cautious. So I'm going to ignore the barrage, but I'm going to turn everyone over to spent. That's very risky, but I don't want to lose a morale for no reason. And when you actually lose the battle, you lose a morale. All right, so everybody has attacked. I can now decide to activate this area again, which I will do. These guys are not very powerful, though. I did lose one of their units. So they're literally going to be a 9 -1. They're going to be an 8. And these are all very, very powerful. Well, let's just go for it. I can use those support units. So once again, 5 for my printed value, 2 support units, 6, 7, my leader, 8. 1 for morale, 9, -1 is an 8. So I'm at an 8. Let's flip this Japanese unit over. Oh, it's another barrage. Imagine that. His value is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. I'm actually going to call it spent. I'm not messing with that. Once again, don't want to lose the morale. So basically once again, I'm choosing here, rather than putting a unit out of action, because that's going to cost me more to bring him back, I flip all attacking units to spent and retreat. So I have to retreat. So I think that was a mess up over there. Yep. And the same here. They're going to have to retreat. So I'm sorry, I messed that up, but you have to retreat as part of that. So that's just going to save me from having to do mean streets, which is a condition where if you have an American stack in a Japanese controlled area with that unit, you have to roll on a table, and you can take morale losses and unit losses and other things. So turn is over. So let's go ahead and go back to the sequence of play. All right. Action rounds becoming spent. All right, so if the player has not won an automatic victory, no, I have not. Flip all spent American units back to their fresh side, reduce the morale by 1, remove any event placed on the random event. So I'm going to remove that event. It's probably going to come back. We're going to reduce our morale to an 18, and then we're going to flip all of our units back over to fresh. So give me a second while I do that. Not a great start here, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to take at least 2 or 3 more areas, and it just didn't happen. I just have to make that up now. So I'm really gonna hope for a better supply roll. So now we move the turn marker, and we are going to get some reinforcements. So I'll talk about those here in a minute. So we are on to February the 8th through the 11th. Turn 2. We're going to go back to the beginning of the phase. We're going to do reinforcements. So the player receives reinforcements twice during the game. On turn 2, the 6 units of the 11th Airborne become available and are placed in any combination of Area 30 and or, if American controlled, 27 and 28. So 30 is here. 27 and 28 are down here. I don't control any of those, so they are all going to be placed into this box. So there are basically 2 different formations, small formations, 2 units with a leader, and then 2 other units with a leader. Now, they can attack with you in the same stack. You have a stacking limit of, I'm trying to remember how many units it is. I should have reviewed this a little better before I jumped into playing it here with you guys. And stacking limit is important because you're going to want to keep your guys as powerful as possible. A maximum of 6 American infantry and armor units may occupy a single area. Any number of American units may occupy areas 1, 2, and 30. Leader units do not count against stacking limits. American support markers do not count. A maximum of 1 Japanese unit in an area. American units may not move into, attack into, or into retreat in an area already stacked to the maximum. So, I don't think I did any of that incorrectly. Yep, I'm glad I didn't. Most areas are large enough to display all of the American units. Okay. So there is a stacking limit, and it's 6 infantry and armor. So you gotta remember that and be aware of that. All right, so back to that sequence of play. We just got our reinforcements. We don't have permanent withdrawals yet. That happens on turn 6. Leader mortality. None of our leaders were picked off by snipers. That only happens with snipers. We're now going to roll our random event phase. Let's flip that play aid over, and it's 3d6. So we rolled a 14. Ah, crap. I hate the pause ones. 13, 14, you're going to pause the 11th Airborne. 11th Airborne Division may move, but may not attack during the upcoming turn. Treat as no result on turns 1 and 9. So that would have been good to get here. And it's important, they give you these markers. So the 11th Airborne is specifically units that have this marker on their counters, which in effect is every single one of these airborne units, including the ones that I just received. They can move, but they cannot attack. So they're, for all intents and purposes, they're wasted this turn. All right, that's our random event. We already did that. We are going to now go to supply phase. I'm going to roll my 4d6. Not a good roll. 4, 7, 9. When added to the 3 that I kept, I'm going to have 12. That is a horrible supply roll, considering I've got to buy, or potentially buy 3 or 4 of those units. Although I do have a couple of support units, so that's not terrible. So let's go ahead and look at the American supply costs An infantry to get back costs 2 points. An armor costs 3. So I definitely need, I'm trying to remember which one this 637B. And I got to remember where he was. Sometimes I feel like he's with the 145th, the green guys. So I definitely need to buy him back. So that's going to cost me 3. So we're at 12. That's going to get me down to 9. I'll get that off the board. So we're going to put him back on this stack. I really need these guys to be powerful. So I'm going to buy this infantry step for 2 and put him back in this stack to give them... I just happened to pull a lot of those barrage counters. There's not... That's random, so I'm not going to have to worry about that all the time. Probably need to... Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spend another 2 to get that guy back. So that's going to take me down to 5. Gosh, that was a really bad supply roll. I do get bad supply rolls all the time. I don't know why I'm surprised, frankly. And I do need to replace that because these stacks will be wholly ineffective without that additional +1 that's free. Well, I mean, you know, you have to make a decision. I'm going to go ahead and buy 1 engineer and 1 artillery, so I'm actually going to spend all 3 of my remaining. So I have 0 supply carried over to next time, but I do have 5. And remember, I'm not attacking down here. All right, now we got to go to a phase called Bloody Streets. Let me show you. I think it's on the play aid here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, right here. So Bloody Streets means that I have an American unit. Actually, I don't have any of that. So if I had an American unit that had stayed here, didn't have to retreat, I would now have to roll a d6, consult this chart. 1 to 3 is a no effect. 4 is going to place an American unit in the out of action box. 5 is going to reduce morale. And 6 is going to flip the units to spent and reduce morale. If there is an elite Japanese unit, we haven't encountered one of those yet, they will get a +1. You will get a +1 to this roll. So right now, we don't have any of these bloody streets that we have to do, which is a good thing. Here we go. At the start of the combat phase, the player rolls 1d6 for each contested urban and fort area. It's only urban and fort. So I wouldn't have had one here or there. It has to be urban or fort. I had to retreat there, so that's not going to end up hurting me. All right, let's go to our action round. So we're going to do area activation and movements. Well, we're going to move this guy back here. So that's 1 activation. We're going to move this guy down. We're going to move this guy back into here. The important thing now is that barrage is not going to count because I already encountered that. I will just have to defeat his combat strength. We're going to move this guy here. And then this guy will cost 2 to move into this and 4 to move into there so he can get there. These guys are inactive because of the regimental division pause. So they will not be attacking this turn. It is time to make some hay while the sun's shining. So let's go ahead and get to this. So I don't have the -1 this turn. That's huge. So I've got a 6 combat with 4 support units. That's a 10 plus 1 for morale. I'm going to be an 11. We flip this over. He's a fanatic. 9 plus 3 is a 12. So he's outclassing me. I'm going to show you the fanatics are the worst. I already showed you that. If the combat results is a success, it's changed to a stalemate. You ignore it if it's a repulse, stalemate, or an overrun. I'm going to try to get an overrun here, but it's a crapshoot. So I'm going to throw an engineer and an artillery support into this battle. That's going to give me 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 combined arms for a 4. So I'm going to be at a 15. I need to overcome him by 9. Ain't going to happen. Just going to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and roll my dice. And of course it didn't. So this is going to be my first real true loss. So he's got a 9, he's a 21, and I rolled a 4. That makes me a 19. So that is called, so let's go, I'm going to read this part to you so that it is clear. Combat. All right. Nope, not a stalemate. We are in, not an overrun, sorry. I went too far. This is a repulse where attacker total is less than defender's total. So the lead attacking unit is removed from the area and placed in the out of action box. All remaining units are flipped. Retreat is required in cases of a failed mandatory attack. Retreats must follow retreat procedure, and we reduce the American morale by 1. So I have to put that tank in the out of action box, so that's going to screw me up. I will retreat there, and I'm going to flip myself over to spent. So that was pretty much horrific. Good job, Grant. All right, let's just move down to the next one. Here we've got a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 1 is 11, so I'm an 11. We flip this guy over. He's an elite. 5 plus 3 is an 8. So I have an advantage here. I'm going to go ahead and put 1 artillery support to give me plus 1, plus another 1. So I'm going to give myself plus 2. So 13 to an 8. Let's see how this goes. I rolled an 8. He rolled a 3. So I'm going to be at a 21. He's going to be at an 11. I overrun him. I kill him. We control that area. Hallelujah. I move control marker up. We're up to 8, so we're getting there. Normally, I should probably be around 10 or 12, so I'm behind schedule. And more importantly, because I overran them, they are still active. They can attack again. Let's go ahead and attack this guy. We know his strength. He's a 9 because he was revealed. I've got a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1 morale. I'm a 10. I'm only a 10. I'm going to use an artillery support. That's going to get me to a 12. Let's roll our 2d6 and just hope for the best. Yeah, I rolled good. 9 to his 4. I'm going to go to a 21. He goes to a 13. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I beat him by 8 points. That is more than his printed value, so that is an overrun. Yay for us. I control that area. They don't have to get spent. And now I'm up to controlling 9. So they can act again, but I'm running out of support markers, which is not going to be great. All right, we already know this guy's a 6. He's no longer a fanatic, so this should be a cakewalk in some ways. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 1 is a 12. I'm going to be a 12. So I'm just going to do a straight roll. All right, I rolled an 8 to his 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He is going to be to an 11. I defeated him by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spots. So I overrun him. I control the area. I'm not spent, and now we are at 10 control. So we're making progress. And that was good because I didn't have to spend a support marker. Can't activate the airborne guys in the south. Let's go ahead and go back. I'm at least going to try to... Yeah, I think I want to go ahead and try to bop. I think I want to move these. So I'm going to move these guys into here. I'm going to move these guys into here. These guys here. And I feel like I want to hold off. I'm not quite ready for that many. I have 3 and I only have 1 support. I'm going to start with this guy because I think this is one I can win without doing a support. Okay, so a sniper. 6 plus 2 is an 8. He's going to be an 8. We haven't encountered a sniper yet. Place 1 leader unit in the out of action box after combat resolution. I do have a leader present. If no leader, treat as an ambush. So I don't. So after the combat's over, I got to remember to move a leader down there, and then we'll do a leader mortality check. Morality check. Hilarious. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 1 for high morale, 12. I'm a 12 on his 8. I think I'm just going to let my luck ride and not use my last support unit. So I got to outroll him. And I do, but probably not by enough to overrun. I rolled a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I beat him by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I do beat him, but it's not an overrun. So I'm going to be spent, and I'm going to have to remove that leader over to the out of action box. He'll do a mortality check at the beginning of the next phase, and now we're up to 11 control. We've made a bit of a comeback here. I'm going to go ahead and start this. Let's go ahead and do this one. So I'm a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 1 is an 11. And then he is a 6 plus a 3, and it's another sniper. So he's a 9. I do have a leader there. I'm not going to use a support. We're just going to roll. Okay, I outrolled him. So I rolled a 3, and he rolled a 2. So I didn't overrun him. I'm going to be spent, but I do defeat this guy. He goes into the urban box. I'm going to put another leader in my out of action box. These guys are flipped over and spent. These guys should have been flipped over and spent. Wait a second. Did I win that one by more than the printed value of that sniper, which was a 6? I believe so, but I don't remember now. All right, let's go ahead and do this one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus 1 is a 10. So I'm a 10, and he is going to be an 8 plus a 3 is an 11. And he's going to do an ambush. Place the lead attacking unit in the out of action box after combat resolution, and ignore if the combat was a repulse. So I'm not going to support this attack. I'm just trying to somehow defeat him, and I do not. Holy hell. I rolled a 3. I messed the dice up. He rolled an 11, so he destroys me. I lose that. The lead attack unit lost, so he has to go to the out of action box. I have to retreat, and that guy's going to stay there. I already reduced my value, so he's spent. We're going to go ahead and do this guy. 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm an 11. All right, I'm an 11. And then this guy is an 8 plus a 3 is an 11 as well. Amazing. So that leader is also going to go to the out of action box. I'm going to go ahead and use this support to give myself a +2. So I don't want to lose the attacking unit as well. And then I'm just going to roll and hope for the best. So I rolled a 6. He rolled a 4. So I'm at 19, 2, 3, 4. I only beat him by a 4, so it's not an overrun. So I'm gonna kill him. I'm then gonna be spent, and this leader is gonna go to the out of action box, which just hilarious. And then these guys can attack again unless I made a mistake and I'm just missing it. But he's gonna be a 10. Plus a 1 for morale. He's going to be an 11, and he's going to move into this clear. That guy's a 7, and he's a fanatic. So I have to overrun him, or it's just going to be a stalemate. So I have no support. I'm just going to roll. 11 to a 7. Let's just hope that I somehow roll. I rolled an 8 to his 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I won by 5, not greater than his value, so I'm going to be spent, and that is considered a stalemate. I don't have to retreat. So this is where I'm going to incur mean streets here at the beginning of the next round. So that's everybody activated, tired, out. I've got a lot of guys out of action. That's never a good thing. But we are done with the end of turn 2. Let's go back to the sequence of play, because I think all I have to do is do the end phase. All right, remember at the end of every turn, you're going to reduce morale by 1. So I'm now down to a 15. That's not great. I lost 2 battles that time. That was not good. We're going to move to the next turn, turn 3. We're going to remove the event marker, that nasty event. We have no reinforcements coming in. Permanent withdrawal, not yet. Leader mortality. So we've got, I think that's the most leader mortalities I've ever freaking had. We're going to roll a d6. On a 1 to 2, the leader is killed. Remove the leader from play for the rest of the game. On a 3 or 4, the leader is lightly wounded, and he may return during the dawn of the next phase, or the next turn. Move the leader to the out of action box to the turn track. On a 5 to 6, the leader remains in play. So let's go ahead and do this chase guy. Okay, a 6. He's going to be fine. So he goes back to join. I was supposed to flip everybody over. I apologize for that. That's a mistake. Flip all these guys over. I don't need to flip those guys over. All right, so Chase started with, I got to make sure I get the leader with the right, the 1/5 and the 1/12, the 44A and B. Yeah, of course. Right here. Chase goes with this group. So he immediately goes back. That's a good thing. Let's go ahead and roll for this guy whose name is Whitcomb. A 5. He's going to come back. That's excellent. Whitcomb is with the 145th, which are, isn't it these guys? Yeah. So Whitcomb's going to come back to the 145th in good position. And I was supposed to put a control marker there, and I don't think I did that. I'll count them up here in just a second. So yeah, that's good. And then the final one, we rolled a 3. So that means he's lightly wounded. He will come back at the beginning of turn 4. So that's going to hurt his formation this turn as they try to gather themselves. So that actually was not bad. Probably one of the better leader mortality rolls I think I've ever had. We're going to do the random event phase. We're going to roll 3d6. And we rolled a 6, right? What's a 6? Pause the first cavalry. That's the frickin' worst one. So the first cavalry is going to be paused. So that's these guys, and I think one of those, but they lost their tank. I think it's, yeah, we'll figure that out. But that means they can't attack. So these guys literally are not going to be able to attack this round. Just great. Random event we just did. We are now going to do our supply phase. We really need a good roll here. I'm hoping for a 16 plus. No. 10. That's terrible. That really doesn't give me enough to do much at all. Well, let me look at the 637As. Let me see where he's going. So I definitely need to buy this armor back. Number 3 with the 129th. So I got to buy him. That's going to cost me 3 supply. So that gets us down to 7. I'm not going to buy this guy back only because I can't attack with those units. So why would I want to worry about those? So literally it's this guy and this guy who cannot attack this turn. Neither of those. So they're going to take a bloody streets and then not be able to do anything. With the remaining 7, I'm going to buy 2 engineers for 2. That gets me down to a 3 and then 3 artillery. 1, 2, 3. So I have 0 supply again. All right, so we spent all of our supply. We're now going to, I'm going to count up all the, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 we should have here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We control 12 areas, 13 areas. 13. We should be at 13 control. So I was a couple behind. That's why you want to just pay attention to those at the top. All right, bloody streets. So in areas that are urban or forts, and as I look around the board, that's not an urban or a fort, so I can avoid bloody streets. Bloody streets becomes much harder to avoid when you get into the urban center. So yeah. All right, well, we did bloody streets. We don't have to do anything. We can now do action rounds. So let's move this guy in, attempting to take him out. He can't do anything. Let's move this guy in, attempting to do, he can't do anything. We're going to move this guy here. Our airborne, we can do 6. So I'm going to go ahead and move all of these over there. That's a stacking limit. They could still do 6 units. That means that's 4 units. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break that up, do the leader and one of the 4s, and I'm just going to leave these guys back. We'll figure that out. But I want to get this one, because they really should be taking care of all 5 of these, and they have not done a good job, partly because they were paused. So those are my planned attacks. I don't have a lot of support this turn. This is going to be one of those turns where I'm going to have to earn my keep by making good decisions about what I attack and how I continue and what I use. Let's start with this one. So he's a 12 automatically, which sucks, but he doesn't have the fanatic bonus. So I'm going to be a 10 plus 1 for morale. I'm going to be an 11. I do want to beat this guy, so I'm going to use an engineer and an artillery. So that's going to give me 4 total. So what did I say? I was an 11 plus 4 is a 15. I just need to beat the guy. Let's go ahead and roll. Okay, I rolled an 8 to his 5, so I'm going to win. So I'm at a 23 to his 17. 1, 2, 3, 6. So I don't overcome him with an overrun, but I do defeat him, and that's going to flip these guys to spent. Well, that maybe wasn't a wise choice to use that many support markers, and I'll blame myself for that. We do go up on control by 1. We're going to put those into spent. All right, so that's that one. These guys can't do anything. These guys are attacking. They have an 11, but they don't get their bonus now because they've been revealed. We are a 6 and 4 is a 10 plus 1 for morale, 11. So we're tied 11 to 11. I just want to defeat this guy. I'm going to use 1 artillery to give myself plus 2. So I'm at a 13. Okay, I rolled a 9 to a 4. That's pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm at 22 to his 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm 7 over. I do not overrun him, but I do defeat him. So these guys are going to be spent now. But I do control that area. That ended up being a good result. I would have preferred to be able to attack again. But I feel like this might be somewhat of a slow turn. I'm getting established and didn't get great supply. So here I'm a 6, 7, 8, 9. Don't have a leader. Plus 1 for morale is a 10. We're going to flip him over. He's a sniper. 9 plus 3 is a 12. There's no way I'm really going to win this one. I am going to throw an artillery in just to give myself plus 2. So we're tied at a 12 apiece. I'm just hoping I somehow outroll him. And I do. 9 to his 7. So I'm going to win the battle. I'm going to be at a 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I don't overcome him where I can overrun, but I do defeat him. I'm going to lose my leader, which I don't have a leader, and I just screwed that up. So let me go back to this sheet, because when you don't have a leader, I think it's treated as an ambush. If no leader present, treat as an ambush. So as an ambush, place the lead attacking unit in the out of action box after combat resolution. So I'm going to win the combat, but lose that guy. And I will take that area. So that's going to give me 16 controlled areas, and they will be flipped to spent because we didn't overrun him. Can't do anything there. I'm going to go ahead and add my totals up here. This guy's the lead unit at a 4, 1 for his HQ or leader, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'm not overstacked. +1 for morale is a 12. Now we flip. This guy's already flipped over. Barrage doesn't happen again. He's a 6. So it's a 12 to a 6. I'm pretty much just going to do a straight roll. And it's going to be okay. I'm not going to overrun him. So he rolled an 11. So that makes him a 17 total. I rolled a 10. So that makes me a 22 total. His strength was only a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I defeated him by 5. So I do an overrun. So I don't have to make my guy spent. And they are going to move again. I move control up 1. So they are done. Can't activate. Can't activate. Already spent, spent, and spent. These guys are going to move again. They're going to move into this area. So they literally just move one area closer, which costs 4 movement points. And they are going to flip them over. It's a sniper. Their strength is only a 6. And I'm a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm a 12 to a 6, but I'm going to lose my leader to the out of action box. So let's go ahead and just roll. I rolled a 9 to his 7. So I'm going to go up to a 21. He's going to go to a 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I overrun him. His printed value was a 4. So I can still be active if I so choose. You know what? I've been pretty lucky. Do I push my luck? Hell yeah. So I'm going to move into this area. A little bit tougher. And I do have a support left, an engineer. So let's go ahead and flip them over. He's an ambush. 5 plus 3 is an 8. And once again, an ambush means that I have to put the lead unit in the out of action box after combat resolution. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push it. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, +1 for morale is a 12. I'm just gonna roll. I want to save. Well, I just lost my. Damn it. So I rolled a 7 and he rolled an 8. So he is a 16 and I'm going to be a 19. So I'm going to defeat him, but I'm going to be spent. And then I have to put the lead attack unit, which was this 4/4 guy, into the out of action box. And these guys were all spent. So that was actually a really good turn for the airborne. I feel like that doesn't happen all that much. So I got another control, but they are spent. And I do, I got to find my my 6-sider, which is right under here under the table. High quality video editing and production here by the Player's Aid. That was just, didn't even stop the game, just dove in and got what I needed. So I got to put a control marker out. Thought I moved that one up. I'll count those up here in a moment. Let me go ahead and count that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, 19. I have 19, so I was 1 shy. All right, that's the end of turn 3. And you can see what is happening. I've done not that great in this area, but I'm starting to pick up speed here. And my airborne troops really did a great job down here. What I need to do is kind of consolidate them. Maybe come back here, converge on this, but we'll see how that goes. One other thing I wanted to point out, you may notice that I have these orange cubes sitting in these 4 areas. These 4 areas, when I take them over, I gain a +1 morale bonus. Those do not come with the game, nor are they required. There is an American flag there that should remind me, but sometimes that gets lost to me in the game. I lose sight of it. But that's the end of turn 3. We are at 19, and we need 37 to win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We need 18 more to win, and we have 6 turns. I'm feeling good about this. This has gone generally not terribly. So, guys, I think that's where I'm going to stop. We're right at an hour. Actually, we're an hour and 10 minutes. I think I gave you an idea of the gameplay, some of the nuances. I might have made a mistake or two, so I apologize for that. What I do a lot of times with these games is I'll play them a whole bunch in a week or so. I think I played this one 6 times and won 3 out of those 6. Then it's been sitting here for a month, and I haven't necessarily done it again. So I tried to give myself a crash course review of everything, and I'm afraid I forgot some of the minor nuances and made a couple of errors. But once again, I think you get the idea of what is going on. And basically, I have 6 turns to get 18 more areas. That's an average of 3. I think that's doable. I think I'm going along well. Now, what can cause that to not happen? Well, these paused event cards can stop me from attacking. That'll be really bad. Rolling very poorly on supply rolls. You're rolling 46, but it can be any number of, you can get 4 to 24. I've never gotten above like 20. So if I get bad supply and then obviously bad rolls or these bad events, that's going to ultimately slow me down and hamper me. But overall, I enjoy the game. It's fun. It's unique. It's interesting. It's a game that I think I can turn my brain off and enjoy. So that's what I like about the system, and I do enjoy playing it. So I've done this 3-round playthrough. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and then I'm going to come right back and give you my final thoughts, summary, review of the game, its systems, its production, some of the changes, those kinds of things, so that you better understand whether this game is for you or not. So thanks for watching. I've been Grant for the Player's Aid.